everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. So here you are watching this following review in black and white. I had this plan and prior to Halloween, and I tried filming it, but I made a crucial mistake, so I'm filming it here again. And since I didn't really get any videos done right around Halloween, aside from the Nest live stream you saw the other day, I decided to keep that Earthbound-inspired intro going for a couple of days, mainly because me and my sis worked really hard on it. We worked for basically a month on that, so I really didn't want to go to waste, so I basically just altered it so that it would still be cool even after Halloween. But anyway, today we're here to talk about the 2012 stop-motion feature film version of Frankenweenie. So before I get into that, I'll just very quickly go over my thoughts on Tim Burton's films, for those who haven't really seen my videos before. I consider myself a pretty big Tim Burton fan. I really like quite a few of his movies, including Edward Scissorhands, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Corpse Bride. These next couple movies are ones he produced, but I also really like James and the Giant Peach and The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I believe Nightmare, he actually came up with the concept for that, but that movie still really flows like a Tim Burton film. But yeah, so I had some pretty modest expectations for Frankenweenie. I have seen the original, the live-action short film of Frankenweenie that Burton had directed back in the day, but I still had some pretty modest expectations since I was like, oh, what can you really do this time? I've seen the trailers and some of the making of featurettes of Frankenweenie, but I was still kind of unconvinced that, he could do this truly something new and spectacular. But I saw the new version of Frankenweenie, and personally, I actually really like this version. I wouldn't put it up with something like Corpse Bride or Nightmare Before Christmas, but I felt that Burton and his team were able to sort of reinvent the story of Frankenweenie from, Tim Burton's his live action and short film version, and they were able to expand it and even kind of flesh it out into making it a pretty good, pretty heartfelt feature films. The premise of Frankenweenie is basically it's the story of a kid named Victor Frankenstein. Yes, that's really his name, and his dog Sparky. And what happens one day is Victor's dad really wants him, to, go out there, be more social, and even play baseball. And during a baseball game, Victor hits a home run, but Sparky goes after it, and he gets hit by a car and dies. That's not a spoiler. That's something that's been in the trailers. So what Victor decides to do, since he's quite the scientific genius, he decides to revive Sparky by zapping him basically with lightning, and that's how, brings him back to life. And then some of the kids are starting to get some pretty big suspicions as far as what Victor is doing. And this is pretty big for them because there's a science fair coming up, and they really want to do a really, truly amazing project for the science fair, each of them. So I'll go over what I liked and disliked about Frankenweenie. I'll try not to be too spoilery in this particular review, but I'll go over the things that I liked and disliked. I'll start off with the things I like. I really like the relationship. I really bought into the relationship between Victor and Sparky. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was, very genuinely done. I really, really got hooked into it. It was honestly to the point where even though I had an idea of what the ending was going to be like, it was still, this really big, crazy thrill ride that kept me on the edge of my seat. And I think it was because I just thought, the relationship was so well done. You could sense the love that, Victor had for his dog and wanting to bring him back. And especially since basically Sparky is one of the very few genuine friends that Victor has. So I thought that was really well done. And being a stop-motion film, especially directed in the hand of Tim Burton, one of the main advantages is that he could really go out there with the character designs of this movie, especially compared to the live-action and short films. So I thought, the character designs were really truly impressive, and for some of them, it really brought out their quirks and personalities, mainly characters like Victor has this science teacher played by Martin Landau who has this really creepy face, still an intriguing endearing character, but I thought, he was just really well designed and well acted. There's a mayor character, Mr. Burgermeister, and oh my god, I mean, just looking at his angry face and, the way he talks in that really, like, sinister, very intimidating tone. It's just like, oh my god, he just really, kind of, scared the shit out of me, throughout this movie, just from, looking and hearing him. So I thought, the character designs were also really well done. And something that I also really liked about this version of Frankenweenie is that there's actually quite a few references to a lot of horror movies and to even some of Tim Burton's other films. I mean, yes, I know Tim Burton, he has a habit of reusing a lot of his actors in his movies, but I still thought, it was still really fun to see, some of them, back in this movie, like Martin Landau plays a science teacher, Winona Ryder plays one of Victor's classmates who has a pretty paramount role in the movie, especially going into the climax, and also really great references. There's a poodle in the movie that I think is referencing the Bride of Frankenstein, and I don't think it was done like in a really like in a very like intrusive way, or in the sense of it just feels like a nail on the head being hit too hard. It honestly really felt like I almost could imagine Tim Burton just being there and putting these referencing them, and him just having a smile on his face. Just the fact, he's a person who's grown up, watching, enjoying like, horror movies and monster movies. And I think, being able to put these references in, even down to how Victor himself, he kind of looks like Victor Van Dort from Corpse Bride. I honestly thought, I mean, that was like the one reference where I'm just like, really, that one was kind of a nail on the head. But most of the other references I think are quite fun, and I think could serve as this kind of Easter egg hunt for fans of both horror films, or even for people like me who are mainly into the Tim Burton catalog. And I also really like some of the changes that were added to this version of Frankenweenie. I do like how they changed up things, like how, things like, I mean, not saying that I wanted to see Sparky get hit by that car, but, what brought it to happen is that, his dad was like, hey, you should, go out there, I want to see you play baseball. I like that in the sense that, it kind of gave a bit more insight into Victor's personality, because in the short film, for instance, you see, him spend more time with his friends, but in this version, it's kind of more clear, even though, yes, Victor's classmates know of him, his only real close friend is Sparky. So this idea that, hey, you should play baseball, I thought that was pretty awesome. Another significant change is that some of Victor's classmates get this idea to bring back a bunch of dead animals, some of which are personal pets, and bring them back and they come back as various different creatures, which I'll get into that. That's kind of a bit of a double whammy for me, but I do like what they were able to do with these creatures, like some of the pets or the animals brought back, because some of them were pets and some of them weren't really. A perfect example is there was one of the characters had a pet turtle, and when it gets zapped by lightning, and by the way, there's literally like a thunderstorm happening every night in this town, the turtle comes back as this turtle monster. It looks like a mix of Godzilla and Gamera. I mean, it doesn't fly like Gamera, but this creature goes running around, it's a giant like Godzilla running around stomping the town, and it's got a shell on its back. And another creature that comes out of this is a whole bunch of sea monkeys, and they come back as these frog-looking creatures. And just the way they kind of run around and how they run around and chase people, it kind of reminded me sort of Gremlins. Even the way they were taken out, also kind of reminded me of that movie. So I thought this idea that, not only does Sparky get brought back, but a lot of the kids either bring back their pets, or they find other ways to bring back like dead or animals that are lifeless, and bring them either back to life or to life. I thought that was actually some pretty creative stuff that I liked seeing there. So, And the interesting thing about Frankenweenie to me is that some of the flaws in this movie are sort of connected to the things that I liked about this movie. Like, there's an element that I like. There's this kind of thing I'm sort of mixed on in Frankenweenie, where it turns out what the key ingredient as to why Victor was able to bring Sparky back was, yes, because of scientific reasons like the lightning, but his teacher implies that it was because he loved Sparky. Now, on one hand, I do like this, I do like how, this was brought up. It does also kind of emphasize the friendship between Victor and Sparky, but I'll be honest, when I saw that scene, I was kind of taken aback for a second, because I was like, oh, of course, it's a Disney movie, so they have to, of course, bring that up. And that's not a slight against Disney. I mean, you're watching a YouTube channel that's literally named after a big event that happens in a certain Disney TV show that I cannot stop talking about. But it's just like, when you have to explicitly mention that, as much as it is kind of cool that's the case, it does kind of make you think, do you really have to hit that nail on the head? I thought that was also kind of weird, which kind of makes me wonder, because the thing about, a lot of the pets that, come back as these monstrous creatures and go haywire is they kind of come back as these, like, sort of mutated forms of what they used to be. Like I said, the turtle turns into that Gamma monster. Kind of a special case is what happens to one of Victor's classmates is that her cat, she was trying to bring back this dead bat, but the cat was kind of playing around with the bat, and what happens when the cat and the bat got struck by lightning is that the cat turns into, like, this cat-bat, like, sort of fusion sort of creature. I mean, for a second, it kind of reminded me of The Fly, is particularly the 1986 version, the one starring Jeff Goldblum. So that kind of stuff, even though it was, neat to see, these characters come alive, these revitalized pets and animals, it kind of made me think, well, wait a minute. In the case of Sparky, but Sparky, yes, it looks like he had to have some, patchwork done, like, on his skin in the process of bringing him back. But, he's still, a very friendly dog. He's basically, the exact same sweet personality. So what exactly caused these mutated versions of these characters? It's really hard to say. I was kind of thinking, is it because part of the motivations of these characters, I mean, I know for a couple of them, they, really genuinely love their pets. Like, the girl really likes the cat, and the boy with the turtle seemed really passionate, seems to, really like, his turtle. But it just kind of got me thinking, is it because they were also, like, a big part of the motivation was because of that science fair? It just kind of left me confused. And speaking of the cat, in an earlier sequence, and this was kind of one of the more cringy jokes of Frankenweenie. There's some pretty, funny, and kind of funny, scenes in Frankenweenie. But the one that was kind of cringe to me, especially, I wouldn't have expected this in a Tim Burton fan, is that there was a kind of a notable poop joke. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. There's literally a scene where this girl goes up to Victor saying, "Oh, my cat had a dream about you, and that means you're going to do something big." And on top of that, the cat also took a dump, and the piece of shit was in the shape of a letter V, as in Victor. So it's just like, really, like, so scenes like that, and also the scene where the science teacher was like, a big part of why Sparky came back was, the heart behind the scientist, like saying without saying. I was just like, those kind of scenes, those were probably the scenes I kind of cringed the most, if I'm being honest. But in the end, I definitely think that, but those aside, I definitely think that Frankenweenie was, honestly, I thought it was a really well done movie. I thought, it updated, it did the Tim Burton's live action short film really well and fleshed it out. I really thought that it fleshed it out as a movie for what it was able to do pretty well, actually. And I really, bought into the relationship. I really enjoyed seeing, Victor being able to, bring his dog back and be really happy about the fact that he was able to do that. And it's also really filled with a ton of horror movie references, and even references to other Tim Burton in movies that I think that for a lot of the fans who are really into those movies, I honestly think they're really gonna have a lot of fun, picking them out and seeing them, and even trying to guess, what, is this character, what is this scene referencing. I honestly think that was part of the fun of the movie as well. So overall, in the end, on a scale 1 to 10, I would give Frankenweenie an 8. While I don't see it being quite as up there with some of Tim Burton's best movies, like Corpse Bride and Edward Scissorhands, I still thought that Frankenweenie was still a really heartfelt movie, and I thought there was genuine passion put into it. I just thought it was a really well done film. But let me know your thoughts down below. Have you seen Frankenweenie? Did you like the film? Or if you haven't seen the film, do you plan to see it? Leave all those thoughts down below. And until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to get notified when I release my latest videos. Follow me at Blood Moon Bobby on your favorite social media platforms to take part in polls, see my tech tips, and to hear about my video plans. Thanks for watching.